What's up, guys? This is 101 MMA Clinic. I'm Alex. Patrick is with me. Again, he didn't make the intro, so I have to do this. So I hope you're going to enjoy this one. We have some good fights for you.
Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
Why are you
What's
doing
up?
this, brother?
Hey, I had a busy day. You could blame Chong tonight. All right.
I'm
I'm
basic.
healthy tonight. I got healthy
I'm
kombucha.
on basic. I'm on Stella. Like, I'm in too much pain and too tired to do anything extreme.
Not too tired for this fight talk. We got Alexa Grasso this weekend fighting Vivian Araujo, if that's how you say it.
Arajo, Arajo.
Araujo.
Arao. I would say Arao. I don't know. Keep the names. Give
Skip
it.
the names. All right, let's get right into it. We got Misha Serkinov versus Alonzo Menafield in the first fight of the night. Who you got for this, Alex?
Yeah, this is the interesting one. How to say, every time when people, like, especially in that age, he's like 35. I mean, like, he's still young for that category, but like he tried to go down and now he's coming back up in category. And I don't know how that move down to middleweight back to the light heavyweight it's gonna influence him. And he's gonna have a big man in front of him with a lot of power. And I think, like, especially like with three losses now coming back, I would go with Alonso for this one.
I want to say he actually has four losses in a row. So even worse. Am I wrong about? Oh no,
Yes.
no. Okay, he's got coming into the UFC. He has four finishes. So what I was gonna say is Misha Serkinov. I was really impressed with him coming into the UFC, getting four finishes in a row, most of them by submission. But yeah, it is actually three in a row that he's lost. So I'm hoping he could break that streak. He's a really exciting submission grappler. One of the submissions he hit in the UFC, I remember because you showed us it like not long before, and then he hit the same kind of like guillotine variation, which is really cool right here with like the arm in, not like the traditional arm in guillotine, but kind of like a sideways like katagatame kind of.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that one because you can use your whole body to push on that tricep, on that arm, and you can produce. Even if you ask me, like, he did it wrong. He was like too much flatted,
yep.
But like that one is really tricky one. If you don't know how to defend, it's really basically like only defense is like you want to give your back, you know.
Right. Yeah. Kind of relieve the pressure, but give up your back.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to start rotating your back towards your opponent on the ground. And usually, when you like flat it like that, I don't think you have enough pressure to finish it. I like more to go like to face the person on the top, like from this position, to
Yeah.
make even more pressure. But we are not here to now break the techniques. Maybe we can do that soon enough. We are already promising for a long time that we're gonna start, and I guess we are too busy and too lazy.
Yeah. I mean, if he pulls it off this weekend, maybe we owe it to him, especially if it's a guillotine or something, because he's got really cool front headlock chokes. Like here he is going for finishing a Peruvian necktie. Not to break it down, but I mean, he's got some exciting submissions. Um, he is getting a little bit older, and then he's also, been losing on a lose streak. Alonzo Menafield, he's never lost by submission, and one of his notable wins is against Paul Craig, who's a submission artist in his own right. I like Menafield's chances in this. Misha Serkinov, he's really kill or be killed, right? If he doesn't get the finish, there's a solid chance he's going to get knocked out. And then against Alonzo Menafield, the guy, like you said, he's got the power to do so coming off of a KO. I think Menafield's going to get this one in the bag.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially like he even entered the UFC as a heavyweight. He won the Dana White Contender Series, so he's a big guy, and especially like I mean, not that Misha is small, but like with that last uh, before his last fights, like in light heavyweight, and now going back, it's question like how his weight is gonna look like. You know, like no, that he's not light heavyweight, but like with those previous cuts, I'm just like always with that. That's like a big question mark for me. Like when you move to
Mhm.
one category and then you move back. Like, and we're gonna have a couple fighters tonight that have those transition from category to category. But let's go one by one. Okay, so we agree both on this one. Alonso, I would even say KO or TKO. I don't see this one going to the finish.
Yeah, likewise. All right, moving on to the next fight. Uh, this is your boy. I don't know if your boys, but he's a Serbian, so to me, he's your boy. Uh, how do you say this? Dusko Todorovic.
Duško Todorovic. Yeah, I'm
And
better with the Serbian than with the Russian names, but I'm gonna practice my Russian a little bit so I can be East Side announcer.
that's right. What does he have like Russian blood or something?
No, no, no. He's Serbian. Like I mean, he's born I think actually in Montenegro, but I think he spent all his life in Belgrade. I know him. He was training at the other team in Belgrade. I know him even like since he was little kid.
Oh
So
no
he
way.
was always very perspective. Just like when I have like some inside information, I'm gonna talk a little bit more. Like Dushko is really like he have a taekwondo background. Like his movement, his legs are really flexible. He's throwing those high kicks really nicely. He's really good in covering distance, going back in and out. Solid ground game. Black belt in jiu-jitsu. Not like extremely great submissions, but like he can manage himself on the ground. Not like a high level, but like he's very knowledgeable on the ground. Uh, what I want to say, like the biggest problem, like with him, is like I think he's in wrong weight category. He should
Mm.
be a middleweight, and that's best saying. Like his enter card to UFC was Michel Pereira. He beat him, and that's how he entered the UFC. And now we saw like and that was in middleweight. After
Mhm.
that, Pereira was fighting as soon as he entered the UFC. I think like he had even some crazy open weight and 190 pounds catch category in Japan, and he entered the UFC two fights. I mean, third fight after Dushko. You know, and he moved to middleweight, and he's really like I think maybe he had one loss from Diego Sanchez by illegal strikes. I think he's like everything, all other fights he won, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check quickly. Yeah, he lost maybe his first, no, second fight in UFC on decision from Tristan Connolly, and then Diego Sanchez by, and since then he have a five wins. You know, in the last one, he beat Ponzinibbio. So he's like a pretty much maybe even now like in top 10 of that category. That's saying like about like my opinion that Dushko is too small for that category.
Mhm.
And now against him, he have a guy that even I think fought in light heavyweight. The big guy, and they're pretty much similar. They both have like those high kicks. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. Like, and Dushko doesn't have like a greatest wrestling, but if it comes to the ground, I give him advantage. But like taking the down bigger guy, especially like who is similar to him with the reach and everything, only thing can see that Jordan is going too wild, and maybe in those, like he can sink down and put him to the ground, and then I'm giving advantage to Dushko. Um, Even though like I'm here, like seeing good opportunity to go with the Jordan, I cannot go against my countrymen, so I would say Dushko.
Yeah, I'd say it's very close, especially if you look at their records. They're both 2-3 in the UFC right now, and on one of them is going to be breaking even. But I think their 2-3 is a little bit different, in my opinion. Dusko, he's fought a little bit better guys in the UFC, and even before the UFC, like you mentioned Pereira. And Dusko, even though he might be kind of small for the division, like he still packs a lot of power, and I like his striking. Um, like you said, he might have the edge in grappling, but I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks Jordan Wright either down. I don't know if it's a TKO, but he definitely has the power to at least sit Jordan Wright down, and then maybe find a submission from there. You know, like yourself, I gotta go with the Serbian. Like we might train Brazilian jiu jitsu, but like I pride myself on my Serbian jiu jitsu, so I'm going with the Serbian.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, another thing, like exactly what you said. Like also, like in those wild exchanges, I think the Dushko is more composed, more precise. Only thing like what's questionable, and like in couple matches, he show up like his chin in that category, because like he have a small neck. You
Mhm.
can see it even on the picture, and smaller head. So I would really like to see him at least like one fight, like to try in a welterweight. That would be really interesting to see.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we'll see because if he wins this one, maybe he'll stick around at 85. But yeah, 170, I think he does have a good frame for that too. All
Yeah,
right, so we're both going for the Serb.
correct. Who else?
All right, next one. I'm excited for this one. We got Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval. This is probably my fight of the night pick. We got two scrappers. They both strike a lot. They're good at striking, but honestly, like what impresses me most is their grappling. Um, Askarov, he's a bit more of like a wrestler, but he does threaten the submissions. And then Brandon Royval, he's like all submission oriented. He's crazy like positionally. Sometimes he gets in bad positions and he has a way of just like switching it on a dime and finding himself, slapping on a submission. Sometimes I like to play like MMA math and see who's winning then. But if you look at their records, in my opinion, it's kind of a wash, right? They're kind of tied. It's a draw because they have similar opponents, similar wins. Like they both have wins over Tim Elliott, but Royval was able to submit him, and they both have a fight against Kai Kara France, who's a beast. Um, but Royval was able to submit him, and then KKF was able to beat Askarov in his last fight, close decision. So it's pretty close to me. I would think the odds should be closer for this one for these two guys, but I would kind of lean towards Askarov just because Royval's biggest chance of winning is a submission, and against Askarov, he's no slouch in the grappling, so it'll be kind of difficult, but a good show nonetheless. Who do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I even wanted to say for this one, like don't call me schizophrenic, but like for me, this is like the most secure fight, even by the odds saying that. But like I see so many things that can happen, and Brandon can win this match. Talking about the submissions, I honestly like Pantoja. Alex Pantoja didn't finish Oscar, so I don't think the Brandon can finish him. And he was like even in some pretty bad positions against Pantoja, and I think he's the best submission artist in that category for sure. So the question is like how he's gonna feel after his last match. That's the first defeat in his career,
Mhm.
and he's now doing the first fight after that. That's for me like a biggest question. How he's gonna how he's gonna deal with his defeat. But like for me, he's like one of the best guys in that category, and that's why I'm saying like one of the most secure match on the fight card, and that's why I think even the odds saying that. But on the other hand, like Brandon Royale is so similar in some aspects, like KKF, you know, and he managed to make a defeat, to beat Oscar, So maybe he can see something and do the copy paste. And especially, I think even if it comes to the ground, he doesn't have maybe good takedown defense as KKF, but like he's going to that crazy scrambles, where he makes you to work and he can get you tired, And then when they all again go up on the feet, with his crazy combination, I can see him uh, making a big problem. Also, like his southpaw, that's maybe some factor, that big factor that that can go in this match. That maybe Oscar will not manage the best to shorten the distance to go for a takedown, because usually like most of the takedowns that he's doing on the orthodox guys. So there is a
Mhm.
lot of equations. That's why like I'm completely agree with you what you said about the odds. They are too big difference and they should be a little bit closer. So talking about that, that's maybe something that you can guys play around and maybe try, Brandon. uh but again, I'm saying this is one of my most secure picks, to go with Oscar. So don't
Now
call.
that you're saying that, now I want to pick Brandon because I think it should be so close, But
Yeah, no, no, for sure. And I mean, I'm gonna probably skip this one because if it's closer a little bit, if it's like under minus 200, I would go with Oscar for sure. Because this is one of my top picks on this fight card. But like uh, putting in the now all these equations, what I previously said, like I see really good chance that Brandon can win this match.
Mhm. Yeah, at the very least, he's gonna win like fight of the night or something.
Yeah, I think that's why they match it up. If you look his score 14-6, it's not like some amazing score. But again, like two of his losses, one came from Pantoja talking about like uh, difference in the level, of submission. Like basically, Pantoja finished him in the first round, took his back and choked him out.
Mhm.
So, and he lost from Moreno. Also, like, that's something like as soon as the higher level opponent comes, you know, he fades out. That's like why I'm giving like advantage to Oscar. But again, it's above 200, so I don't like to play those, but just something to think about.
Right. I do think very highly of like Askar Askarov. I think he's gonna probably fight for a title sooner or later. Little speed bump against Kai Kara France, but Brandon Royval, he's a dark horse for me in that division.
For sure. For sure.
But we're both going Askar Askarov.
Yep, that's true.
All right. Next up, we got another great fight. Any fight that Cub Swanson's in, I think, is going to be exciting. Who do you got in this one?
Again, another guy like, and especially he's 38 and he decided he all his fight life he fought in 145. He's going now to 135. You know,
Hmm.
huge question mark. You know, and especially in that age. So Jonathan Martinez is like on 3 fight win streak. Um, he looks great, and like even like the weight factor, that Cap Swanson coming up from the category above, it's not how to say that important, because Jonathan is playing between two categories. Like even I think his was his last fight or no fight before his last one, he fought in featherweight. Also, like couple fights before that, he fought in featherweight. So he's more or less jumping between these two weights. So he's used to it on the bigger guys. He can manage with that. And I think, like again, I said the weight cut from Cap Swanson is gonna be the biggest question mark. So I'm gonna go with Jonathan Martinez.
You know what? That's actually I've been looking into these fights and that is news to me. I didn't know they're doing 135. Usually you see when like anybody older or younger move down or switch weight classes, it's coming off of a loss, but Cub Swanson's coming off of probably one of the best performances in his career. Like not a lot of people can finish Darren Elkins and Cub Swanson did that beautifully. even though he's 38, I don't think he's like lost a step. If anything, he looks like more creative, more powerful than he ever has. And he's faced guys that, are big 145ers. So it's kind of surprising to me that he moved down. He's the only guy in the UFC to beat Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier back to back. And those were the last two champions of 155. So like maybe his like record 28 and 12 doesn't show it, but he's fought some of the best guys and he's won against, a handful of them too. Um, I don't think he's slowing down. Jonathan Martinez's best win, I think, is like against Thomas Almeida, who's a solid fighter, but if you just stack up their resumes, he hasn't fought anybody on Cub Swanson's level, and I'm still going with Cub Swanson for this one.
Interesting, yeah. Again, I'm saying like a change in the category. Maybe like he felt something, but like again, the first time, I just like for me it's big question mark, So I'm gonna
Mhm.
go. I'm gonna go with Jonathan. I'm gonna stay on what I said.
All right, I'm going with the underdog. Surprisingly, Cub Swanson. I do think he's probably the underdog because of that questionable weight cut.
Yeah, I think that, and also like 3 fight win streak, for Jonathan.
Mhm.
Usually, odd makers give a really, really big. They're big on that, like so that's one of the reasons. But I think also like on this one, it should be a little bit closer for sure.
Mhm. All right, well, this is interesting. I think this is the first fight on the card that we're picking opposite fighters.
Yeah.
So I got my eye on that one. That's it for the co-main event. Next up, we got Alexa Grasso versus Vivian Araujo. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Grasso. Same situation here. Three wins in a row. Um, she's younger. Like her stand up is just like crisp,
Hmm.
really precise. What's interesting about this matchup, it's they're both going like in and out. You know, just like Vivian is more like a wild. She likes to like step in and go with that looping hooks. And or combining one and two. But like I think like her cardio is questionable too. So I think just like the pressure, if Grasso like goes with the pressure and with more crisp strikes and hurt her early, I think this can be even early finish. I don't think we're gonna watch 5 rounds, and also like we can see even submission in this fight. Because they are not going so much like on wrestling taking down like this, but like from the counters they are really dangerous, both of them. So that's something that also, like if somebody gets tired and decide to go or hurt go for a takedown, the other person really, I see like that from some scramble. I don't think we're gonna see stand up war, and whoever get hurt, maybe it's gonna get even finished by submission.
It'd be super interesting. And before Alexa Grasso's last fight, I would say maybe she's not going to be the one getting the submission, especially against a black belt like Araujo. But in her last fight, she did show that she's been working her jujitsu, and she found that rear naked choke. You said an interesting thing about the conditioning, the cardio of Araujo, and I do think that's going to be a big factor, especially because this is 5 rounds. Um, she does have that in and out, but I think the way that she manages her energy, she kind of throws maybe a little bit too much in her strikes, whereas Grasso is nice and relaxed. Um, Before like going back and watching some of her fights, I thought she fought a lot like Irene Aldana, her teammate, but she actually throws way more kicks than her teammate Aldana. So she's much more of like a kickboxer who kind of entertains the grappling a little bit. Fun fact: the last person she lost to is the current champion. So that kind of tells you like the streak that she's on and kind of the caliber of fighter that she is. if she's gonna lose, it's gonna be to the very best. And right now, I don't think that's Vivian Araujo. So I do see Alexa Grasso taking this. Um, I don't know. They've only had one finish each in the UFC, so I think it'll go 5 rounds. It would be interesting to see a finish though. But how about you? If there's a finish, do you think it's pretty equal for each fighter?
No, I think like Araujo is much more dangerous. Like even I don't know like why she's now relying so much on her hands. I mean, on her striking. Uh, when like more or less like before she entered the UFC, let me see how many finishes she had. She was like a finishing machine, more or less. Submission, submission, submission. So from the TKO loss and then again submission. So basically, her first four submissions, they all came by wins. They all came by submission. I think she's like a black belt under Vieira, if I'm not mistaken. Like so she have
Yep.
a really good jiu-jitsu. Like even the first finish was on heel hook. That's very interesting. In 2015, even before it became popular. So I just don't see like even all her last like how many fights since she won the first when she entered the UFC even on the short notice and she finished beautifully Talia Bernardo, like it's all decisions,
Mhm.
even her two losses and everything, so something is going on, is she getting tired or she's like or she's too much relying on the hands, doesn't mix up, like because like she's afraid of wrestling and to something is going on. But I think in this match, like you said, precision of Grasso, and I think the cardio deficit from Araujo are the two biggest factor, and I think the Grasso can cash in because they're both going to her side. So I'm gonna go with Grasso on this one.
Yeah, I agree, especially in a 5 round fight. All right, so that's it for the card. I think we've got one fight where we disagree, so keep your eye on that co-main event. That should be interesting. And then
Yeah, like
next weekend we got a really big one.
no, it's not the next weekend.
Are you sure? Oh, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, in two
I think.
weeks. Yeah, it's a big one, and I think then like more or less every weekend we have a fight.
I think it's
So
next weekend. Uh,
let me see. No, it's on 22nd, and after that like 22nd. So next weekend I think we are free. No, that's the next
yeah,
weekend.
next
Okay, my
weekend.
math is not good.
Yeah, bro. Time flies, man.
I got lost. I guess like now next 5 6 weeks we have event there every weekend. So I
Yeah,
guess we're gonna save our special episodes for some other time because we didn't do it when we were
yeah,
supposed to this week. Yeah, it can wait. It can wait. Let it cook a
yeah,
little bit more.
for sure. Got more in
Okay,
store.
officially under 30 minutes,
We got it. Getting concise.
fastest ever. Okay,
That's why I
brother.
didn't do the intro, bro.
Yeah, even intro was like super short. Okay, guys. Cheers. Good luck this weekend.
All right, cheers. Enjoy the fights.
See
See
you
you,
next
brother.
week.